So I see the start screen up. Did you want to, are you ready to get rolling with
Sure,
this?
whenever you are, and whatever you want me to show you.
Yeah, but I figure we're going to spend, 20 to 30 minutes or so just kind of looking at your league. I wanted to show it off. I'd interviewed you a while back about your league for our blog, and I thought it was pretty cool. It's been around a long time. It's actually something that I mention a lot. I've done a lot of podcast interviews about the game, and I often mention your league as kind of a great example of the fun things you can do with Allen Park baseball. And people always laugh when they hear about someone doing a Tolkien baseball league and all the things you've done, like having Brandywine fever in there as an injury, and having the Middle Earth locations in there as stadiums and things like that, and even changing the names file so it generates actual Middle Earth sounding names. So it's a really cool kind of way you can kind of have some fun with the game, but as well as I think most people know, the game can really be this kind of cool little sandbox for you to get in and play around in. I mean, you could just play a standard game and have a lot of fun with that, but you can also kind of mess around to your heart's content. So why don't we get going and kind of load up the Tolkien Baseball League and take a look and
Notice I changed the
we can start with the league home screen.
The history file as well, so it pops up history of the hints file. It pops up stuff that's straight from our league. We've been doing that since before the latest change where it goes ahead. Everyone's gonna know my password. Oh my gosh! Ever since we had the ability to do it, it does the localized hints, and apparently the latest patch added where it will go through, the game will go through itself and give league hints, which is cool. I noticed a few of them. Usually I have it set.
That was a recent thing that they added, right? The localized hints. But you said you've been doing that for a while. Then you kind of figure around in the game.
Yeah, I just manually, when something significant happens, when it's someone's 500th home run or hit for the cycle or a no hitter or whatever, I just have a customized hints file that I maintain and have been.
Right. Just so people know, you can actually change that hints file. You can put anything you want in there. You can
Yep.
You can put little comments in there or whatever, and put your own quotes in there. Quote yourself. Whatever you'd like to do. So we're looking at the league newspaper here, and so why don't we start? I know the league's been around about a decade, right?
A little more than that, actually. We started in 2003.
Okay. Wow. So and you've been on Allen Park Baseball the whole time? I'm trying to remember.
Yes. I used to run a league up in Maine before we moved back in the 90s, and used Earl Weaver and Tony La Russa and Front Page Sports and different stuff like that. And then I took a break from it because I was traveling a lot. But then around the end of 2002, some coworkers and I were kicking around the idea of having a simulated baseball league. We were looking around forever for software. We looked at trying to resurrect some of those old games. We looked at, there was an old time baseball game that was kind of an offshoot of Tony La Russa that was cool. We looked at a whole bunch of different things, Pursue the Pennant. But then we stumbled on OOTP 5, and that was it.
Right, and you started the online league, pretty shortly after that.
Yep. We started April 1st, April Fool's Day, in 2003 was our opening day. We'd been messing around with it for a few months before that because we were originally, it was just going to be a normal American League, National League, historical maybe kind of thing, but we were goofing off, and someone suggested it be Mordor versus the Shire, and we're just like, that's it. and, and I used to be a big blogger, and I had a whole bunch of blog buddies, and just about every one of them, all the original 24 teams were either coworkers or family or bloggers.
Right, and so everybody kind of responded to that pretty well then.
Yeah.
And I guess the movies probably helped. Peter Jackson's movies that got in the. I mean, Lord of the Rings was always kind of a cultural thing, but obviously the movies.
Yeah,
You know,
I can't remember exactly.
Got it out there more.
Yeah, I can't remember exactly when they came out, but it must have been around that time. Their second or third movie by then, I think.
Right.
A thing. It started out, it really did start out as a joke, which everybody kind of takes it as a joke, but really it's baseball. It's all the simulated stats and the moves and the trades, and I mean it's just funny names basically.
Right. It's baseball with goofy things, or funny things transposed for the stuff we're all used to.
Mm-hmm.
So from the very beginning, did you have the names? Have the Tolkien names in there, like the names file and things like that?
Yep. Right off the bat, I customized the names file and the injuries file, and this was before they had the player pictures and stuff like that, so I didn't get a chance to do any of that stuff. But we right off the bat, we had orcs and hobbits and different names and stuff. Actually, I'm thinking it's been a while. Yeah, it's been a while. I have to stretch my brain back 12 years. Actually, no, we didn't have a names file back then. We had to do it. We had to rename them manually.
Okay. Yeah, I was kind of wondering if that was an automated thing back then. Or,
yeah.
But so you had to just. Yeah. It would generate Joe Blow fictional player, and you'd have to change it to.
Right, and we only did it for the major leaguers at first.
Okay. Yeah, that would be pretty crazy to rename everyone, especially some guy who maybe never gets beyond the minors.
Exactly. Yeah, I know we used like Cato base stats tracker thing that was invented back then, and I know that we had like in the history, I would edit the history so it would say change the name from this to this, because Cato would have all these stats from their original name to up to a certain point, and then you'd have to go looking for their new name, because it wasn't by an ID, it was just by their name.
Right. Yeah, and how did you create? I mean, did you just make up a lot of these names yourself? I mean, obviously you pulled them from a lot of them from the books, from things like the Silmarillion too, I would assume. And,
yeah,
but did you end up having to just kind of make up a lot of names too?
Yeah, a lot of them came from name generators, just going out to the web and saying, okay, find me a fantasy elf name generator or an orc name generator. I still do that. I went through last year, and before we went to 16, maybe it was still in 15, but I think it was just before we went to 16, and went through and revamped the names files and added a crap load more of them out of names generators and lists and things like that.
And how about the injuries? How did you did you do all those yourself?
Yeah, I didn't want to really mess too much with the injuries, because I didn't want to make it so that it would break the injury routines in the game. So I basically took existing injuries that were in there. If they were, like someone has the flu, then I change it to Brandywine fever, that kind of thing. I think there are.
Right, just changing the names.
Right. Yeah, I think there's a few now that I added because I feel a little more comfortable that it's okay to add stuff, and it doesn't screw anything up, especially in the off-season injuries. Yeah, I can go ahead and do that. And with the one thing that I haven't really done yet. I've had it turned on forever, but for some reason, upgrading across the years, the storylines never kicked in. But I think for the upcoming season, there's a debug mode that you can kick the storyline engine in the butt and make it start up. So I'm going to go into the storylines and change things, like they have a storyline where players do car commercials. I'll probably change it so they're doing horse and buggy commercials or commercials for axe merchants or something like that.
All right. Right. Does anyone have a Tommy John surgery in your world, or what has that been renamed to?
It's been named Tommy Bombadil surgery.
Tom Bombadil, man, that's
Tommy
perfect.
Bombadil. Yes.
That's actually that's great. That's perfect. And I guess it was a sort of a group effort to come up with all the team names and their locations.
Yeah, the original list of teams pretty much stayed the same. Let me go to history. That might be better. Teams.
Yeah, see, we got the Minas Tirith Titans at the top there.
Mm-hmm. So a lot of the teams were the same, have stayed the same, but what originally happened was everybody that took a team got to name what they wanted for the team. And then if there was a new GM, one of the things that they can do immediately is rename the team. So we've had that for a few teams over the years. One of them, Minas Ithil Worms, has been through 4 iterations.
Yeah, and now the game keeps the previous names.
Yeah, it lets you know what
you can see that. Right. That's pretty handy.
Yep.
So who's the winningest team? Do you have like a sort of a Yankees of your world?
It kind of varies. Originally, Mirkwood was winning everything. In fact, they're still the only. I think they're the only 5 championships. Yeah, Minas Ithil just won their 4th straight. They were the first team to win 4 straight. Mirkwood won 3 straight back near the beginning. They've won 5 total. Then after that, Bucklebury took over. They never won the championship, but they dominated for a long time. And Minas Ithil is the current Yankees.
So Bucklebury is kind of your like Atlanta Braves then.
Kind of, except for Bree.
Lots of success. But.
Yeah, but we had Bree's been weird because for like 15 years they made the first year they were terrible, and then the manager turned them around and they made the playoffs the next year, and they made the playoffs every year for like 15 straight years and never could get past anything. Finally, I don't remember which year it was. Yeah, it was 2015. After making the playoffs every year not making it past the first round or the second round, they made it to the end by coming back from behind, doing a Red Sox thing. They came back from 3 games down in the conference championship, and then they came back from 3 games down in the league championship to win the whole thing.
Wow. So like a double Red Sox then.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And then they
did that 2 series in a row then.
Yep, and they haven't won anything since. They've made the playoffs.
Wow.
Go ahead.
So you're up to, is it 2031 now?
We just finished 2031, yep.
So, how many teams are in the league?
There's 24. Each team's got 3 levels of minors, AAA, AA, and Single A. And then we've also, when they added feeder leagues, we put in 2 college leagues with 2 divisions each of 24 in each division. So there's like 48 college teams, and then 2 high school leagues. There's like 48 high school leagues as feeder leagues. And then a few years ago, we added a second major league